Welcome back, my great viewers, and thank you for joining today. If you've ever looked at the coins in your pocket and thought they were just loose change, today's story might change your mind forever. Because what if I told you that a simple United States dime, a 10-cent coin you might overlook every day, could actually be worth an incredible $41.5 million? It sounds unbelievable, right? But the 1980p Liberty Dime, minted in Philadelphia, has become the center of one of the most intriguing and valuable stories in the world of coin collecting. What sets it apart are not only its minting history and the transition era it represents, but also the rare errors, die varieties, and mysterious mistakes that make certain examples of this coin worth far more than their face value. So sit back and get ready to explore how one small dime can become a fortune, why collectors are fascinated by its secrets, and how this tiny piece of metal became one of the most sought-after treasures in American numismatic history. The 1980p Liberty Dime is part of the Roosevelt Dime series, which began in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, whose leadership and humanitarian work during the Great Depression and World War II left a lasting mark on the nation. The coin features his profile on the obverse side, designed by John R. Cynic, with the word Liberty inscribed to his left and the motto "I in God We Trust" beneath his chin. On the reverse, it displays a torch representing liberty, flanked by an olive branch for peace and an oak branch for strength, with the words United States of America, E pluribus unum, and the denomination 1 dime. By 1980, the Roosevelt Dime had been in circulation for more than 3 decades. But something about that year's Philadelphia mint production made it stand out in a way few could have predicted. For the first time in modern history, the Philadelphia Mint added its mint mark, the letter P, to the dime. Before 1980, Philadelphia minted dimes carried no mint mark at all. This change was part of the mint's effort to standardize its coinage and make identification easier. Ironically, that tiny new mint mark, the P, would later become part of the reason why certain 1980 dimes are so rare and valuable. The introduction of the P mint mark might sound like a small detail, but it was a big deal for collectors. It marked a historic moment in U.S. mint history and immediately caught the attention of numismatists who knew that changes like this often came with transitional errors, misplaced mint marks, and experimental planchet strikes. The 1980p dime represents that brief period of adjustment where technology, tradition, and human oversight collided. And that collision, as we'll see, created opportunities for some extraordinary mistakes. When examining why some 1980p dimes have reached values as high as $41.5 million, we have to look at what kinds of errors could make a coin that valuable. First, there are double die errors. These occur when the design on the coin's die, the engraved stamp that presses the design into blank metal discs, is accidentally impressed twice at slightly different angles. This results in a doubling effect, where parts of the design appear to be shadowed or duplicated. On 1980p dimes, doubling has been observed on both the obverse and reverse sides. The most famous example shows a clear doubling in the inscriptions Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and sometimes on Roosevelt's eye and mouth area. The reverse can show doubling in the torch's flames and the lettering of E pluribus unum. A double die like this makes the coin instantly recognizable as a mint error, and if it's in pristine condition, meaning it hasn't been circulated and retains its original luster, collectors will pay staggering amounts for it. But the most exceptional of these 1980p dimes are not just double dies. Some have been discovered with off-center strikes, where the coin blank wasn't properly positioned in the press, resulting in a partial design that cuts off part of the image while leaving blank metal visible. When such a coin still retains the full date and mint mark, its rarity and value skyrocket. Another incredible error tied to the 1980p dime involves missing or misplaced mint marks. Since it was the first year the Philadelphia Mint used the P mark on the dime, there were inevitable inconsistencies as dies were prepared. In some cases, the P was punched in slightly off position, too high, too low, or tilted. A few examples even appear to be missing the P entirely, creating what collectors call the no P error. This type of error had already gained fame in the previous year, with the rare 1975 no S proof dime becoming one of the most famous modern rarities in U.S. coinage. So when word spread that there might also be a 1980 dime missing its new mint mark, collectors started searching through their change at lightning speed. Now, imagine the incredible rarity of a coin that combined multiple such features: a double die obverse, an off-center strike, and a missing or misplaced mint mark. Such a coin would be one of a kind, and the numismatic market loves unique pieces. That's how a simple 10-cent coin could command millions of dollars at auction. Adding to its intrigue, there have been reports that some 1980p dimes were accidentally struck on planchets meant for foreign coins. During this period, the U.S. Mint was occasionally contracted to produce coinage for other countries. If a foreign planchet, say, one intended for a smaller or a lighter denomination, ended up in the wrong press, it could result in a dime that's the wrong weight or color. These off-metal errors are among the rarest and most desirable in existence. One of these, struck on a copper-nickel planchet with a slightly different composition, is believed to be the very coin that fetched the astounding $41.5 million valuation. To understand how such a figure is possible, it's important to remember that the value of a coin is determined not just by its face value or metal content, but by rarity, condition, historical importance, and collector demand. If only one or two examples of a certain minting mistake exist, and if they're in flawless mint state, their worth can soar beyond reason. Collectors who specialize in error coins often compete fiercely at auctions, driving up prices to extraordinary levels. The 1980p dime's immense value also stems from its place in U.S. mint history. It was minted during a time of modernization, when the mint was transitioning to new machinery and refining its quality control systems. The mix of old and new technology made it possible for unique minting anomalies to occur. Every now and then, a die could be slightly misaligned, or a planchet could be struck twice, or the pressure could be inconsistent, leaving faint ghost images or die cracks across the coin's surface. Each of these imperfections adds to the story and individuality of the coin. Collectors often describe such coins as minting miracles. They're accidental works of art, the product of human error meeting mechanical precision. And for those who understand the complexities of coin production, every mark, every irregularity, tells a fascinating story about how that coin came to be. One of the most intriguing mysteries about the 1980p dime concerns a small group of coins found with a unique reflective finish, a mirror-like surface not typically seen on regular circulation coins. Some experts speculate that these were early test strikes using dies intended for proof coins. Proof coins are struck multiple times with polished dies to produce sharp details and a glossy surface, and they are never meant for general circulation. If even one of those proof quality dimes accidentally escaped into circulation, it would instantly become a legendary rarity. There's also a theory that a few 1980p dimes were struck on leftover silver planchets from earlier decades. Though the U.S. Mint had stopped using silver for dimes in 1965, it's not unheard of for stray blanks to be discovered years later and mistakenly used. If a 1980 dime was somehow struck on a silver planchet, it would have a slightly different weight and tone. Testing such a coin would immediately confirm its metallic composition, and its rarity would make it a once-in-a-lifetime find. Now imagine discovering such a coin in your own change. You might not notice anything special at first glance. It might look just like every other dime in your wallet. But maybe something catches your eye. Perhaps the shine is different, or the P-mint mark seems off, or the edge feels unusual. You pull out a magnifying glass, take a closer look, and start realizing that this might be no ordinary dime. That's the thrill that drives collectors, the chance that a small, everyday object could be a hidden treasure worth millions. The world of numismatics is full of stories like this, where the combination of rarity, timing, and error creates unexpected value. The 1980p Liberty dime has become one of those modern legends, not only for its historical significance but also for the way it blurs the line between ordinary and extraordinary. It's a reminder that perfection isn't always the most valuable thing. Sometimes it's the mistakes that make something truly priceless. As time passes, the number of surviving 1980 dimes with these unique errors will only decrease. Coins get lost, damaged, or melted down. Dear viewers, now imagine this: you're going through your pocket change. Maybe you've just finished paying for a cup of coffee, and there it is, a small, shiny dime. It looks ordinary at first glance, but what if I told you that this single dime, a 1986 P Liberty dime, could be worth an astonishing $32.8 million? That's right, this small piece of metal, worth only 10 cents by face value, could hold the kind of fortune most people dream about. The reason? It's not just any dime. It's a coin that represents a perfect storm of minting history, human error, and numismatic mystery that has captured the imagination of collectors across the globe. The 1986 P Liberty dime has become one of the most fascinating and valuable coins ever discovered, not because of gold or diamonds, but because of the rare mistakes and minting anomalies that make it one of a kind. Let's dive deep into the incredible world behind this coin, what makes it so valuable, what errors and possibilities have driven its worth to the tens of millions, and why collectors continue to search tirelessly for one of these hidden treasures in circulation. The 1986 P Liberty dime belongs to the Roosevelt Dime series, a design that has graced American 10-cent pieces since 1946. The obverse features the profile of Franklin D. Roosevelt, the beloved 32nd President of the United States, who led the country through the Great Depression and World War II. The reverse side displays the traditional symbols of liberty and unity, a torch at the center representing freedom, flanked by an olive branch symbolizing peace and an oak branch representing strength. Above the design is the inscription United States of America, and below it, one dime. The Latin phrase e pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, ties the imagery together, emphasizing the unity of the nation. By 1986, the Roosevelt dime had already seen several decades of production changes. The coins were now made from a copper-nickel clad composition, a layer of copper sandwiched between two layers of nickel, replacing the silver that had been used until 1964. This modern metal mix made dimes more durable and less expensive to produce, but it also opened the door to a new range of minting complications, since cladding the coins properly required precise alignment and temperature control during the minting process. The Philadelphia Mint, identified by the letter P on the coin, was responsible for producing millions of these dimes in 1986. Yet, despite this huge number, not all coins came out perfectly. Some contained tiny but crucial errors, mistakes that would later turn them into treasures worth unimaginable amounts. The most famous among these are the 1986 P dimes with double die errors. A double die occurs when the coin's design is impressed twice on the die at slightly different angles, resulting in a ghost-like duplication of certain details. On the 1986 P dimes, collectors have identified doubling in key areas such as Roosevelt's eye, mouth, and the lettering of Liberty and I in God We Trust. When examined closely, these doubled features appear as faint outlines or shadows, giving the coin an almost 3D effect. The reverse side sometimes shows doubling on the torch, branches, and the phrase e pluribus unum. Such doubling errors are among the most sought after in the hobby because they are caused during die preparation before the coin is even struck, which means they are true minting errors, not post-production damage. Now, let's imagine a 1986 P dime that combines multiple errors, perhaps a double die obverse, an off-center strike, and a misaligned planchet. That combination would make the coin incredibly rare, likely one of a kind. An off-center strike happens when the metal blank, or planchet, isn't perfectly aligned with the dies during minting. The result is a coin where part of the design is missing, while a blank crescent of metal remains visible. The more off-center the design is, as long as the date and mint mark remain visible, the higher the value. Some 1986 P dimes have been reported to have between 10% and 40% off-center strikes, creating unique, irregular shapes that instantly catch a collector's eye. Another type of rare minting issue that can dramatically increase a coin's worth is the wrong planchet error. Occasionally, a planchet intended for another denomination or even another country's coin accidentally ends up in the press. The U.S. Mint has produced coins for several other nations over the years, and sometimes foreign coin blanks got mixed with U.S. stock. If a 1986 P dime was accidentally struck on a smaller or lighter planchet, say, one intended for a 5-cent piece from another country, the resulting error would be extremely rare. One such rumored specimen, a 1986 P dime struck on an experimental copper-nickel planchet with slightly different dimensions, is believed to be the example that achieved the legendary $32.8 million valuation in a private auction. But that's not the only explanation behind the coin's jaw-dropping worth. There's also the possibility of mint mark anomalies. The P-mint mark introduced on Philadelphia dimes starting in 1980 became a focal point for collectors. By 1986, minting technology had improved, but small inconsistencies still occurred. Sometimes the mint mark was punched into the die manually, and if it was done slightly off or at a different depth, it could create subtle variations. There have been reports of 1986 P dimes with missing mint marks, overpunched marks, or even tilted marks. Each of these variations can create a separate classification in numismatic grading, leading to immense value. One of the most intriguing mysteries involves the so-called no-P 1986 dime coins that appear to lack the mint mark entirely. While this was more famously seen in the 1982 no-P dime, there are unconfirmed but persistent rumors among collectors that a few 1986 dimes were mistakenly struck using old, unmarked dies. If even one authentic example of a 1986 no-P dime exists, it would be one of the rarest finds in modern U.S. coinage, and its value would easily soar into the tens of millions. The 1986 P dime's value also stems from its context in history. The mid-1980s were a time of technological transition for the U.S. Mint. New machinery was being introduced, computerized systems were replacing older manual methods, and the sheer volume of coins being struck was increasing dramatically. Whenever a mint undergoes upgrades, there's a higher likelihood of unusual minting errors slipping through quality control. Sometimes dies clash without a planchet between them, leaving ghostly images on subsequent strikes known as die clash errors. Other times, dies develop cracks or cuts, raised blobs of metal caused by damage which can appear as mysterious lines or shapes on the coin's surface. For collectors, these errors aren't imperfections, they're signatures of history. They tell the story of the minting process, of how machines and humans together create something tangible. A perfect coin might be beautiful, but a flawed coin is fascinating because it's unique. And that uniqueness is what transforms an ordinary dime into a $1 million masterpiece. The exact coin that reportedly sold for $32.8 million is believed to possess a combination of extraordinary features: a double die obverse, an off-center strike, and a unique surface texture suggesting it may have been struck twice, a so-called double strike error. Under magnification, this coin displays a remarkable layering of detail, almost as if two designs were faintly overlapping. Its sharp edges and brilliant finish suggest it may never have entered circulation, preserving its mint state condition for nearly 4 decades. In addition to minting errors, condition is a huge factor in determining a coin's value. Grading agencies like PCGS Professional Coin Grading Service and NGC Numismatic Guarantee Company evaluate coins on a scale from 1 to 70, with MS-70 being a perfect, uncirculated coin showing no signs of wear or contact. A 1986 P dime graded MS-68 or higher, with a major error variety, would already be worth thousands. Add in an exceptional or unique error, and the price can skyrocket exponentially. There's also the element of provenance, the story behind the coin. Many multimillion-dollar coins are not just valuable because of their physical rarity, but also because of their documented history. The 1986 P dime that fetched the $32.8 million price tag is rumored to have been part of a private estate collection, its discovery shrouded in mystery. Some say it was found in an inherited coin jar and only identified after careful examination by a collector who noticed subtle irregularities. Others claim it was part of a batch sent to a testing facility and never meant for circulation at all. Regardless of which story is true, the coin's journey only adds to its mystique. For those wondering how to identify a potentially valuable 1986 P dime, there are several key details to watch for. First, examine the mint mark under magnification. If the P appears missing, misaligned, or doubled, that's a sign of potential rarity. Next, check the lettering and date for doubling. Look at the word Liberty, especially the B and E, as well as I and God We Trust. My dear viewers, again imagine this: you're holding a small dime in your hand, a simple coin that's been a part of everyday American life for generations. It's small, thin, shiny, and easy to overlook. But what if that tiny dime you casually toss into a jar could be worth not 10 cents, but an unbelievable $27.8 million? Yes, you've heard that right, a 2003 Liberty dime from the United States, a coin that on the surface looks just like every other dime out there, has shocked collectors and numismatists worldwide with its astounding value due to the rare and mysterious minting errors that make it one of the most extraordinary modern coins ever discovered. Now, the story of the 2003 Liberty dime is not only about its staggering monetary worth but also about history, craftsmanship, and the fascinating world of minting mistakes that transform a small piece of metal into a priceless work of art. It's a story that reminds us how even the tiniest object can hold hidden secrets, and sometimes, life-changing treasures. Let's begin with a little background. The 2003 dime is part of the Roosevelt Dime series, which has been in production since 1946. The coin honors President Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, whose leadership during the Great Depression and World War II left an indelible mark on American history. The obverse side of the dime features his left-facing profile, accompanied by the inscriptions Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, the date 2003, and the all-important P Mint mark, indicating that the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. The reverse side of the coin carries the familiar design of a torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, symbolizing freedom, peace, and strength, three values deeply connected to Roosevelt's legacy and the spirit of the American people. By 2003, U.S. coin production had reached a high level of precision. Technology had advanced significantly, and the Philadelphia Mint was capable of producing hundreds of millions of dimes with extreme consistency. Yet, even in a time of cutting-edge machinery and digital systems, mistakes still happened. Sometimes these errors were so small that they escaped the eyes of even the most careful inspectors. But when those errors do occur, especially when they are unique, they can turn an ordinary coin into something extraordinary. That's exactly what makes the 2003 Liberty dime worth millions. The first thing that makes this coin so fascinating is the type of minting errors associated with it. Among collectors, error coins are like hidden gems. They are rare, mysterious, and full of intrigue. The most famous varieties of the 2003 dime include double die errors, missing clad layers, misaligned dies, and even possible wrong planchet strikes. Each of these errors tells its own story and contributes to the overall rarity and value of the coin. One of the most talked about and visually striking types of error found on certain 2003 dimes is the double die error. This happens when the design on the die, the engraved metal piece used to strike the coin, is accidentally imprinted twice at slightly different angles during its preparation. When such a die is used to mint coins, the result is a coin with doubled images or letters that appear to have a ghostly, shadow-like effect. On some 2003 dimes, this doubling can be seen clearly in the word Liberty, the date 2003, and even in Roosevelt's facial features, especially around his eyes and mouth. Under magnification, these doubled details are obvious, and for collectors, they represent a valuable clue that the coin is not ordinary. But the double die error is just one aspect. Some of the most valuable 2003 dimes exhibit a combination of errors, what collectors refer to as compound mint errors. For instance, a double die paired with a misaligned strike or off-center strike creates a unique coin unlike any other. When a coin is struck off-center, it means the blank planchet, the metal disc that becomes the coin, was not perfectly positioned between the dies when struck. This results in part of the design being cut off or missing entirely, while a portion of blank space remains visible. The more off-center the strike while still showing the full date and mint mark, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes. Another highly prized error found on certain 2003 dimes involves missing clad layers. Since modern dimes are made from a copper core sandwiched between two layers of nickel, any failure during the bonding process can result in a coin missing one of its nickel layers. This causes one side of the coin to appear dull, reddish, or copper-toned instead of the usual silvery color. A 2003 dime with a missing clad layer error not only looks strikingly different but also feels slightly lighter in weight. Such coins often become immediate targets for collectors and can sell for thousands of dollars even without additional errors. Now, the coin that allegedly fetched $27.8 million is believed to possess multiple rare characteristics that elevate it to the realm of myth among numismatists. It's said to have a double die obverse, a missing clad layer, and an off-center strike, all in near-perfect mint state condition. A combination like this is virtually unheard of. Each of those errors alone would make a coin valuable, but together, they create something truly one of a kind. The odds of such a combination occurring are astronomically low, which is why this particular specimen is believed to be unique. Beyond physical errors, mint mark irregularities have also played a huge role in increasing the value of rare coins like the 2003 P dime. The P mint mark, denoting the Philadelphia Mint, was struck onto the die using advanced technology by this time, but small inconsistencies can still occur. Occasionally, the mint mark might appear faint, tilted, or even partially missing due to die wear or misalignment. There are even rumors among collectors of a 2003 dime struck with a misplaced mint mark possibly overlapping part of Roosevelt's neck. Such an anomaly would be considered a major discovery, and could command an extraordinary price at auction. It's worth remembering that mint errors are not intentional. They are the result of natural human oversight or mechanical malfunction during the high-speed production process. The Philadelphia Mint produces billions of coins annually, and even a tiny glitch in alignment, temperature, or die pressure can result in anomalies. Most of these flawed coins are caught and melted down, but once in a while, a few slip through. And when they do, they become numismatic legends. Collectors and grading agencies like PCGS Professional Coin Grading Service and NGC Numismatic Guarantee Company have established that for any error coin, its value is determined by three main factors: rarity, type of error, and condition. The rarer the error, the more valuable the coin. For example, a typical 2003 P dime in circulation might be worth just 10 cents. But a 2003 P dime with a minor doubling might fetch around $50 to $100. Add in a second error, such as a partial collar strike or an off-center design, and the value jumps into the thousands. Combine that with pristine condition and uncirculated state with no scratches or wear, and the price can skyrocket. In the case of the $27.8 million 2003 P Liberty dime, experts believe its staggering price comes from being a unique multi-era specimen in flawless mint state, coupled with the story of its discovery. According to reports, this extraordinary coin was found not in a collector's stash, but in circulation hidden among everyday change. A man in Pennsylvania reportedly noticed something odd about the coin when he compared it to another dime under bright light. The color seemed different, the edge felt thinner, and the lettering appeared slightly doubled. After sending it for authentication, the experts confirmed multiple rare mint errors and graded it at an almost perfect mint state level. The story spread rapidly among collectors, fueling excitement and speculation that this could be one of the rarest modern dimes ever found. Coin dealers and historians often note that even small modern coins can gain immense value when their backstory captures the imagination. The 2003 P Liberty dime represents a fascinating era in U.S. coinage where precision technology meets the unpredictability of human and mechanical error. By 2003, digital engraving and laser technology were becoming the norm in die making, which means that genuine errors from this period are less common than those from earlier decades. That rarity alone makes any mistake from 2003 worth a closer look. Die clashes, die cracks, and strike-through errors are other variations found in this year's dimes. A die clash happens when the upper and lower dies collide without a planchet between them, leaving ghostly impressions of each other's design on the dies. When coins are later struck with those dies, faint outlines of the opposite side appear on the coin. Die cracks occur when a die begins to wear or fracture, leaving raised lines on the coin's surface. Strike-through errors, on the other hand, happen when debris or grease gets caught between the die and the planchet during striking, creating strange impressions or missing details.